Hi! Let's learn vocabulary the fun way. Today we're going to look at words that relate to time. We're going to look at the root CHRON, which means time, and words that relate to this. Hi, I'm Ajit from Capshine. Capshine is a revolutionary learn it together English fluency program. With Capshine, learning is easy, quick, fun, affordable, and effective. And also, we promise that you'll be a whole new you in 6 months or less with the Capshine program. Let's go into the words for today. So the first word is chronic. Well, chronic is used to talk about something that lasts for a very long time, like a chronic disease, or someone has a chronic problem. For example, he was suffering from chronic bronchitis. Bronchitis is a disease of the lung. So chronic bronchitis means that he has been having it for a very long time, probably for years or his entire life. Chronic, something that lasts for a very long time. You could also use this in a different context. Ramesh is viewed as unreliable because he is chronically late, which means every time he has to come in, he is always late. It's a behavioral trait and he's been doing it forever, right? So you can imagine someone who does that, you would not rely on them that much. Chronic, which means lasting for a very long time. Let's look at the next one, shall we? So the next one is chronicle, which could be used in two ways. It could be used as a verb to chronicle, or a chronicle, which is, well, a noun. Let's look at some context, shall we? I heard the sad chronicle of his accident. So here, it's essentially the chronology of events. That's the chronicle here. The list of things that happened through time is a chronicle, right? Also, her achievements are chronicled in a new biography out this week. So in this case, it was recorded as a document that documented things that happened chronologically over time. So in this case, it would be in 1980 she did this, 1982 she won this award, 1986 she did this, and it's in the order of time, and that document captures all of that through time. That's a chronicle, which then takes me to chronograph. So graph is to measure something, is a measurement of something, right? A chronograph is essentially a measurement of something, usually in this case time, but in a very minute way. For example, the match chronograph readings must be verified each day in the following manner, right? What that means is that the measurements of, so many microseconds for this to happen. Let's say it was a running race, right? It was a race or a sprint, and you wanted to measure the lap time. Then those readings of how many microseconds, how many milliseconds it took to get to the finish line and the difference, that would be a chronograph reading, right? So the reading of time in a very minute way is a chronograph. That said, don't forget to try the 30-day free trial at Capshine. This includes speaking opportunities, practice as a group, you get a personal coach who gives you feedback and recommendations based on where you are and what you need to do. And of course, as part of your membership, you get daily micro lessons through which you can learn something new every day. And of course, live classes through which you can build your foundational skills. Let's continue with our discussion about time. Chronometer. So chronograph was the reading. A chronometer is essentially a device that can measure time very specifically. Well, you could say a watch is a chronometer, but usually when you say chronometer, you're talking about something that is very specific or can measure time very, very specifically, right? So the chronometer was used as a portable timekeeping device as Captain Hook and his men, by Captain Hook and his men, right? So something that can measure time very, very accurately is a chronometer. That's pretty much it, and we already know what meter is and chron means. Synchronize. You've probably seen this word before. If I said, they will try as far as possible to synchronize their work schedules. What does that mean? Well, syn means together, chron is time, so when something is done together at the same time, you synchronize it, right? If you've seen dance, where a dance troupe, or if you've seen these flight formations, you'll realize that they synchronize with each other. They're both happening at the same time. And they perform those stunts at the same moment. That's to synchronize something. Of course, the opposite of that is asynchronous, which is something that is out of phase or it's not happening at the same time. This can be used in many ways. For example, if my watch and your watch are not running at the same time, if there's a delay, then they are not synchronized, they are asynchronous. This is also used in technology and education a lot these days. For example, the online course was asynchronous, allowing students to learn at their own pace. So what this means is that the instruction, the teacher, them teaching, and the learning happened at two different times, or it can happen at two different times. Just as we're doing right now, it's asynchronous. So me speaking and you listening will be at two different times, asynchronous. And, well, a big word, anachronism. Right? The root chron, but ana as a root means something that's not belonging to it. Right? It's a slightly complicated word and it's a big word. An anachronism is essentially a situation where something doesn't belong to that specific time, or it is not right for that specific time. For example, let's look at an example. For some people, marriage is an anachronism from the days when women needed to be protected. Right? So if you're talking about someone who's very forward thinking, they may say that marriage is not relevant anymore, that it is a tradition from the previous age that should not belong anymore, that should not be forced anymore in the current day and age. So when you call it an anachronism, you're saying that it does not belong to this time frame, it is very outdated, and it's not relevant to this day and age. Right? For example, in this current day and age, if the president of the free world says that he wants to protect his borders with walls, then that you could say is anachronistic. No references to someone you might already know. Let's review the words that we've learned. So we've seen chronic, which means something that happens over a long period of time, something that's persisting for a long time, usually decades. Chronology, so when things are listed out in a time-based fashion. To chronicle, to document something that happened over time. For example, you're chronicling the diet of your day. So 10 a.m. you ate this, 12 p.m. you ate this, right? That would be a chronicle. The document itself would be a chronicle, the noun, the record of it. A chronograph or a chronograph reading is a reading or a measurement of time very accurately. And of course, a chronometer could be used to do exactly that, to measure time very, very minutely. Synchronize and asynchronous. Synchronize is when things happen at the same time. Asynchronous is when they don't necessarily happen at the same time. They're out of sync. And of course, anachronism, something that does not belong to that time, something that is not correct for that particular time is anachronism. For example, if you're looking at a movie called 10,000 BC and there is a red sports car driving around, then that's an anachronism as well. It does not belong to that time frame. Great! Did you learn something new today? Well, try using that in your everyday usage. Drop a comment if you know of any other words with the root chron. Again, if you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Check out our Capshine app or go to capshine.com to get your 30-day free trial. Thank you.